Throughout his entire life, Dmitri has resided in his native village. It's where he was born, attended school, got married, and now, he himself is a father to two sons from their earliest childhood. He was deeply attached to this place, as if it were a mythical kingdom concealed within their village, encompassed from all sides by impenetrable taiga. Undoubtedly, living far from the bustling civilization is challenging, yet there is a unique charm in feeling an integral part of the wild and untamed nature. The enchanting vistas here are simply magical, regardless of the season. Even if one has spent their entire life here, the capacity to marvel at this beauty remains unwavering. Matveyka, Misha, where are you? The man shouted, peering between the trees. Almost immediately, two painted young boys emerged, their faces peeking out from the grass. We're here, Papa. We're here. We're not yelling, we're playing Indians. You'll scare away all the game. Dmitri chuckled. Well, you two are certainly imaginative. There's no end to the things you'll come up with. He sat beneath a birch tree, clamping a piece of plucked grass between his teeth. In his mind, thoughts from the past began to surface. They were all inseparably tied to these very places. Remarkably, even with his future wife, he encountered her right here, in the midst of the taiga. He reminisced about their first meeting. On that morning, Dmitri had ventured into the forest of his own accord, aiming to gather some fresh strawberries for breakfast to delight his mother. As he plucked a berry, he heard laughter. Someone was chuckling at him. The young lad lifted his eyes, finding no one initially, but the moment he turned away, the crystalline laughter echoed again, the laughter of a stranger. Who's there? Come out, if you're not a coward, he shouted, rising to his feet. And then, from behind a tree, a girl emerged, dressed in a light summer dress and with a blue ribbon woven into her braid. That's how they met, initiating a friendship that would last since their school days. It was remarkable that they studied in parallel classes. However, Dmitri had never noticed her before. She, who was destined to become his fate. Papa, Papa. The children's shouts brought Dmitri back to reality. What's happened? He asked, rising to his feet. Are you okay, Papa? Come with us, you'll see. Grasping their father's hands, the boys led him into the forest thicket. And after a while, Dmitri spotted a teenage wolf ensnared in a trap. The wolf struggled fiercely, tearing its paw and bleeding. It managed to crawl out, panting, yet the steel jaws refused to release their grip. Stay back, quietly. Dmitri seriously cautioned his offspring. He knew well that even in such a state, the wolf represented a deadly threat. Will you help him, Papa? Matveyka asked, his voice trembling with restrained tears. Look, look. He's bleeding all over. He'll die if you don't help, added Misha, offering his argument. All right, let's give it a try, Dmitri muttered. Just watch, but don't get too close. Let's not risk anything, he warned his sons, who obediently nodded. With caution, Dmitri began to approach the wolf. The beast bared its fangs, a clear warning for him not to dare come closer. Good boy, Dmitri soothingly cooed. What's the matter with you, silly? I just want to help. He extended his hand, allowing the wolf to sniff it, demonstrating that there was no danger posed by him. The wolf's disposition immediately shifted. It ceased its growls and started whining, as if lamenting the predicament it had found itself in. Dmitri tentatively touched the wolf, conveying his intention. The boys observed in awe as their father fearlessly interacted with the wild creature, capable of tearing his throat with a mere snap of its formidable jaws. Matvey, Misha, find a sturdy stick. We need to release the trap, Dmitri instructed, and the boys immediately dashed off in search of the required tool. Unconsciously, Dmitri smiled. Noting to himself how amusingly his sons appeared in their war-painted Indian style, with sticks in hand, Dmitri eventually managed to free the captive of the taiga. He cautiously rose to his feet, his gaze never leaving the wolf, and slowly began to back away. The wolf, too, showed no haste to depart. In fact, it remained standing there, keeping its injured paw tucked close, from which blood continued to drip. "Papa, he can still see shadows. Look at how he's looking at you," Matveyka addressed his father. "So, how can I help him?" Dmitri exclaimed in surprise. "I'm no doctor. When I was sick, you took me to see the healer," added Misha with his input. Dmitri laughed. However, he fully understood that if the bleeding wasn't stopped, the wolf's strength would soon dwindle. And that meant only one thing: death. "And what if he tries to eat me? Aren't you afraid?" he asked his sons. "Come on, Papa. He's not foolish." The kids burst into laughter. Dmitri privately thought that, indeed, the wolf wasn't foolish, but he seemed to have lost his own wits. Taking a cloth with him to attempt to bind the animal's wound, he ventured towards the wolf. Surprisingly, the wolf seemed to have anticipated this move, for it didn't bare its teeth as Dmitri approached. Instead, it lowered its head, indicating a complete trust in him. Dmitri tied up the wolf's injured paw, muttering a prayer under his breath. He then lifted the wolf onto his arms. The wolf was still young and not overly large, but it weighed around 20 to 25 kilograms, and maneuvering through the forest paths with this weight was no easy feat. Dmitri was soaked in sweat by the time he managed to carry the wolf to the local veterinary clinic. "You brought a wolf, of all things," Palyich exclaimed in horror as he saw the patient Dmitri had brought to him. The wolf agreed. "I don't know anything, Palyich. Just treat it, or I'll unleash all my rodents on you." Dmitri gestured towards the two young Indians waiting for their pets. It was evident that the experienced veterinarian was concerned. Approaching his patient with some trepidation, Palyich managed to overcome his anxiety and perform his duties. The paw, although severely injured, wasn't broken, and after treating the wound, the experienced veterinarian assured that there would be no further danger. The wolf spent that night in Dmitri's yard. The boys provided it with a delicious dinner, and by morning, it bid its farewell to the surroundings with a prolonged and grateful howl. The boys waved their hands to it, and Matveyka struggled to hold back tears. More than a year passed, and the boys continued to let their imaginations roam free, frolicking in the local expanse. However, this evening seemed different. They had ventured farther than they should have. Where could they be? Dmitri's wife addressed him with tearful eyes. Could they be lost in the woods? Meanwhile, twilight was already descending. "Grab the flashlights and let's go," Dmitri decided at last. Waiting any longer seemed futile, and it was clear that something had happened. "Remember when the wolf tried to bite us?" Matveyka, sitting on a log in the middle of the woods, said to Misha with tears in his eyes. "And let's hope it doesn't attack us now. Let's just get back home," replied Misha, his voice quivering. And then, unexpectedly, Matveyka stopped crying and froze. "What's the matter?" Misha was bewildered. "Look," Matveyka pointed. Misha looked in the direction indicated, and an electric current seemed to run through him as he saw two glowing eyes emerging from the darkness. Instinctively, the boys embraced each other, bracing themselves for whatever might come. But then, a larger wolf stepped out of the thicket. It didn't bare its teeth nor tried to intimidate them. Instead, it simply sniffed the air, as if recalling something from the past. "That's our wolf!" Misha suddenly exclaimed with joy. "The one we saved with Papa, remember?" Matveyka's face lit up with a smile too. Now, they both realized that no harm awaited them. Darkness had completely enveloped the taiga, but the two little figures fearlessly followed their guide. Soon, they heard their parents' voices and the flickering flashlights among the trees. "We're here! We're here!" the boys shouted, running joyfully towards their parents. "Mom, Dad, the wolf came back. We saved it, remember?" Misha was ecstatic, and Matveyka's smile couldn't have been wider. Dmitri pointed towards the nearby trees, where the silhouette of an adult wolf could be seen. "That's the very same wolf," Dmitri said, filled with gratitude and affection. "The same one," he repeated, expressing his desire to somehow convey his gratitude to the clever wolf.